All right, Brandon, one of my favorite guys who have come through Ole Miss over the last handful of seasons. And I'm going to start off with the story here as we introduce Javon Patterson. I want to see if you remember this, Javon. The first time I met you was at SEC Media Days when we were in Hoover, Alabama. I sat down at the table. I had only been at Ole Miss for a few months, okay? And they came and they brought our food. And when you go on these trips, Behud, you have to put your order in before you go. So I place my order. I sit down at the table. And they bring out an appetizer and everybody's looking around. And I just slowly raise my hand because I didn't know any better. I ordered the appetizer and Javon was like, my man. Like, I think that's when we were going to bond, Javon. Do you remember that story?
I do remember that, man. I remember it very well.
Yeah, I knew we were going to bond when he appreciated that I was the only person that was willing to go in on an app that day. Javon,
I don't know that everybody else was scared for it. I was ready to dig into it.
A 5-star prospect out of Petal High School All-American. For you, Javon, what was the recruiting process like, man? Is being a 5-star guard similar to being, say, a 5-star quarterback?
I mean, nah, it's not as similar to do it, but it's pretty high up in the high school regards. I mean, as you think about it, being a 5-star is pretty amazing. It just shows, truth that your work in high school and what you did and just how people thought of you. So it was a great feeling.
So, Javon, like I from Mississippi and been around the program for a while and just kind of know you through different channels. But I remember kind of some of that recruiting process. I remember, you were a big get for us at the time for a lot of reasons, but being a 5-star guy, you had offers from literally everywhere in the country. I'm sure your mailbox weekly, daily was overflowing with letters and offers. What made you, at the end of the day, what made you choose Ole Miss and decide to be a Rebel?
Going through that stage, like you said, you had everybody, in the country wanting you. I think growing up in Petal, Mississippi, and just around the people that I was, I think it was being more the persona of people. And, when Matt Luke, came and recruited me down at the school and, those guys, man, it really meant a lot. When I get around people and talk to people just like y'all and, and just like Seth, you bond with people. And I think being in that room with Matt and, getting that connection and, just seeing the vision of the program and seeing the vision of the guys that I was with, coming along with Laramie and people like that, Sean Rollins, Jordan Sim. That's what really sold me over, knowing to come do something special.
I think that people are hearing it already through this interview, Javon, but you've got a great head on your shoulders. And I didn't know you at 16 or 17. I met you at the back end of your career, but a lot of 5-stars aren't this well adjusted. They get all this glory in today's age and social media and this, that, and the other, people hitting them up for interviews and whatnot. But you seem to have always been level-headed through the process. What can you attribute that
to? Just my surroundings growing up. I mean, tribute to my family, mom, brother, coaches that I grew up with, some mentors in Petal. I mean, just those things that they taught me about being a person and how those things will take you a long way. And, when I go to speak to kids, like at a football camp this year, and I've been to previous, I go speak to kids, I try to give those kids the same, talks that I had. You get a lot of talks growing up, but if you can take 2 or 3 things from that, it'll take you a long way. And I always tell them, man, it's your attitude, grades, and things like that, man, will take you a long way. Just meeting people, just being, just personality, it's a personality thing.
Well, speaking of personality, we ask Mississippians this. It's early on in our podcast adventure here, Javon. But when we have guys from Mississippi on, there's this certain edge to them. There's a level of respect for your fellow Mississippians, whether they go to Ole Miss or, dare I say, State or another SEC school. You guys really root for each other, and there's just a special bond between guys that come from the state of Mississippi. Why is that?
I mean, I think Mississippi has just had this statement. I mean, just the people, we've always been able to compete with people, whether it's, being out of state. I mean, I think, South Panola really started it, being able to compete with schools in Hoover, schools in Florida and Memphis. I mean, people like that really started this. And, from people before my time, just going to the NFL and stating the name for Mississippi. I mean, as you can think, Walter Payton, for example, people growing up, paving the way for people like us. to just make a name for yourself. So I mean, it means a lot, just putting Mississippi on your back and making a name for yourself and making a name for Mississippi. So you root for guys that come from Mississippi because it's not hard to get out, but not many people from the area of Mississippi come out to be great. You know what I mean? So it's a select few. And when you get there, you make a name for yourself and become great.
So you came to Oxford early, graduated early, got to Ole Miss early. Your freshman year, you ended up starting 6 games. Was there a kind of a welcome to the SEC moment that you remember?
Actually, there's one that I tell people all the time. Coming in early, I get to my first spring practice, and I think we had a few injuries, and Coach Luke threw me in there right away with the ones, and going in there, going against Robert Medici. I mean, just going in at that time. I mean, getting thrown around. Hey, it's time to grow up real quick. You got a chance to play, but it's time to grow up real quick, and you can do it. And then, when guys like Robert Conyers and Laramie and Justin Bell and Aaron Morris, when they tell you, hey, that you can do it, you start to build that confidence. You start to learn day by day. You start to find little things, and you learn from there.
I mean, the SEC produces year in and year out some of the top defensive linemen, top offensive linemen. Is there a guy that you remember from your time here, from a defensive lineman standpoint, that was just one of those people that was just a tough guy to go against?
Yeah, I mean, for instance, Tennessee Titans. I mean, Jeffrey Simmons. I mean, he's one of those guys. I mean, he went against Jeffrey for 3 years.
Mississippi kid.
Huh?
I said another Mississippi kid too.
Oh, another Mississippi kid. Yeah, I mean that guy. He was incredible. I mean, incredible guy to go against. Just incredible athlete. Between him and Montravius Adams from Auburn, very, very talented guys, man. I mean, those are guys when you went against them, you were like, okay, these are real deal players. Obviously, the Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen. I mean, at that time, going into Bama my freshman year, starting that game, winning. I mean, you go out there. A crazy story was out there in Reggie Ragland. They, all them knew Chad, Chad Kelly from that era, and Jerron Reed. So they were like, "Hey, Chad, we're out to get you, man." Stuff like that. I'm just this first play of the game. I'm thinking like, "Oh wow, this is gonna be a long night."
I was gonna ask something different, but I'm gonna go in that direction now. On the road in Alabama, our guys are about to do that. What advice do you have for them? Because you said it was a long night. It was a long night for the Tide.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, man, it's just going in there with the game plan, trusting yourself. I mean, the keys to football, man, is just being fundamentally sound in all 3 phases. I think Lane has done a great job of teaching that, getting those guys going. I mean, Matt Corral's leadership, from the time he stepped on campus, to learning his way up. I mean, it's just been incredible. So, just go in there and do your job. I mean, that's the main thing when you're playing Alabama. I mean, so it's already proven it can be done, and they got a chance to do it.
We'll get back to that in a little bit. I think if you ask a quarterback a question like, do you have a favorite play? They might say a bootleg or, all go routes or whatever. A running back might like a counter. Do offensive linemen have favorite plays? Do you prefer pulling? Do you like zone schemes? Whenever a certain play is called, are you like, oh yeah, that's my bread and butter?
I mean, I would say just tight zone scheme. I mean, you just line up. I mean, against the 5-man box and just run it. I mean, just being able to just line up and go do it. Double teams, one-on-one blocks is part of it.
You started to hint at the current roster, so obviously you're keeping up with the boys here this season. Ole Miss, we've got a fully loaded backfield with Jarian and Snoop, Kentrell, Henry Parrish Jr. When you're an offensive lineman, does it matter who the guy is behind you? Do you change your mindset depending on who's behind you, whether it was Jordan Wilkins or Scotty Phillips or Akeem Judd? Was there a different mindset based on who was getting the ball?
Nah, it's no mindset at all, man. I mean, the beauty of the offensive line is you got to be part of the 11, but you also have 5 to 6 guys that you're part of that we do the same job regardless of who's back there. I mean, so that's the beauty of that. So as long as you establish that mentality as offensive line, you become, you adapt to change really quick. You know what I mean? And you learn to just build on that, and it goes a long way.
I have a brother that works in the league, and he's been in the league for 19 years. And we have a lot of fun texting back and forth about, different plays we see or guys that, are surprising or whatever. I feel like there's no true offensive line expert unless you play that position or coach that position. What are things in your mind that you look at and you say, okay, this is a good offensive lineman, and or what just when you're watching a team, what are you looking for where you say, okay, this is a really good offensive line as a whole?
I think the number one thing is that they're sound at what they do, and by sound I mean that they're fundamentally sound, technique sound, assignment wise sound. They finish. You obviously, like I was talking about earlier, it's not a persona of a person, but being offensive lineman, the persona of you is your demeanor on the football field. How do you finish? How do you look when it's fourth quarter and it's 15 plays on the drive? What I mean, it's something about that offensive line, something about that guy that you can tell, you can see about him. You can watch what he do, how he do it. It's just the demeanor of an offensive lineman that you can really tell. And then obviously, further going to great and things like that, you see how, like I said, fundamentally sound they are, technique wise, in the position at the right time.
Yeah, I think that was what your groups were like at Ole Miss with guys like Sean Rawlings, Alex Givens, Greg. I mean, you can name Royce Newman's a starting guard in the NFL here for what he's done. So you see that. One of those guys that I think is going to be on his way next season was Ben Brown, who you got to be around as a young buck when he was coming up here at Ole Miss, another Mississippi kid. What did you see out of Ben his first year as a starter that led you to believe he was going to be able to contribute for this line for the next handful of seasons?
Man, Ben was like my little brother, man. He came along and, he started as a right guard my last year. And, he kind of fell underneath me, man. And, you saw Ben at practice. He was just this big, kind of like people used to tell me, man, this big, gentle giant is just out there. You know what I mean? But when he put his hands on you, when he's able to, finish you, you saw this, like I said, demeanor in him that you knew he could be something special. And I mean, he showed that throughout his years at Ole Miss. And, another thing with him being versatile, I mean, that's gonna help him out a long way. Playing guard and center. So, I'm excited for Ben. This season, I mean, he's done great, man. I'm excited to see him go.
He has to be a leader too, because he's the guy now when Royce moved on, and there's new faces that are playing different positions the way he did. You think about Jeremy going guard to tackle. What have you seen from this offensive line through the first couple of games this year?
Oh man, I've seen a lot. I've seen just their mentality, man. They want to run, they want to be fast, they want to get up to the ball. Like I was telling you, that shows a lot about offensive line. I mean, you see it. They run to the ball, they pick up the line, they run back to back to the line of scrimmage. It's just they feel the confidence of them going to score. So when they impose that will on people, it's pretty intimidating. As you can see from people the first 3 games they've played. So it's intimidating, and they get to it, and you see that from him. And you see Ben there, he's a leader. Also you see Nick Broker, who's a young guy coming up. I mean, not really young anymore. He's established himself well in the SEC. So things like that, man. You can tell what type of offensive line they are and what type of team that they have.
Matt came in. You got to play with Matt as a true freshman, or was on the team as a true freshman. What was he like as a freshman, and are you surprised to see kind of where he's progressed to at this point?
I'm not surprised at all. I mean, Matt was on recruiting visits with us. We took him in recruiting visits and stuff, man. And, we hung out a bunch his freshman year, just being a quarterback and lineman type stuff. And, Matt was a competitor, even when he was behind Jordan. I mean, you can tell that he wanted it. You could tell that, even in practice. And then when he got in the games, I mean, I can remember one time he broke for like a 50-yard in one time. And you saw his legs. I mean, you saw those things early on. And, being able to build on those things each year and to see his success this year has been just amazing to see. I mean, you can really tell that he's toned in on the little things. And that's, being a college athlete, you have to, where if you want to go to where you want to be at. And Matt's done a really good job of leading them. And you've always seen it. You've seen it in him. You've seen it, the demeanor. You've seen the competition in his eyes. You've seen that he just wants to go win.
For your 7th round pick, 2019, I mean, that's a feeling not many in this world get to experience, Javon. And I would imagine whether it's round 1, pick 1, or if you see your name pop up, round 7, pick 246, that's got to be one of the happiest moments of your life. Walk us through what that was like for you.
It was an amazing process, man. I mean, all the hard work that you've put in over the years, just seeing the success and seeing your name come across that ticker. I mean, you worked so hard for that, getting that call. sitting there with your family. It's just an amazing feeling to be able to get that.
Tear your ACL as a rookie with the Colts, and that probably put a damper on that first season. But you bounce from Indy to the Giants to the Browns, and you're active for your first NFL game. You get to dress out for the Brownies. You're running out on the field. Now what's that experience like?
Man, it was just awesome, man. I remember going back to that day of being able to dress out, man. I'm showing everybody pictures of it, and it's like, got to go on field goal and be out there, man. It was an amazing feeling. I mean, that's nothing you can ever take away from somebody. I mean, just being able to say, hey, man, you got to play on the NFL, actual game. From tearing your ACL to coming back to being cut to being on the team. Being elevated that week. I mean, it's just an amazing feeling you can't describe.
When you got on, you were talking about, just worked out. You made it up to the final cuts of the Browns. Obviously, I'm sure you're staying in shape. What is your grind like right now? What is it that's keeping you going daily? And are you hearing from teams? You still talking? You just said, hey, I'm a free agent, but I've only been a free agent for a couple of weeks. So tell us kind of what your day-to-day is right now.
Day-to-day right now, man, is just, working out, digging into my connects that I made at Ole Miss. Credits to the Ole Miss academics, man, especially Jennifer Saxon. Those people really prepared us for life after football. I've done a lot in my career. Got some internships. 3 years in the league. Not done with football yet. Only been 3 weeks, but just getting into those connections, learning a little bit about the corporate side, business side of life. I graduated with a marketing degree, so I'm in the analytics. So just keeping in contact with people like that, man. I've talked to Keith quite a bunch. Tom, Luke, some people that I kept in contact with, man. So, just learning that side of the business right now, just while I have some time on my hands.
We interviewed Mack Brown last week, and he's one of those guys that's heavily involved outside of football. Mm-hmm. And when you were here, you were one of those guys too. And somebody that it was funny, and you probably never knew this, but when we were doing something for a client or we were doing something for a group, and, I would reach out to Jen and say, hey, can we get some athletes or whatever? And I'd say, make sure Javon comes, because I always felt like you did a really good job with, whether it be a client of ours or, a kids group or whatever. You always did a really, really good job of being engaging with them. And I think for those type groups and people that you're coming in, sometimes I feel like guys don't realize the platform that they have. I feel like guys don't realize that you are sometimes larger than life to people, whether it be, 10 years old or 80 years old. You come in and you wear that jersey and you become this instant, kind of hero. Can you talk about that a little bit and kind of like what makes you tick? Is that something your parents instilled in you, or is it something more that you said, hey, when I'm going to go above and beyond because, I want that next person to look at me and see me in high regard?
It's something that my mom instilled in me, man. Growing up, she was a very giving person, and I think I saw that a bunch. But one thing she was hard on us, and being hard, by that, just making sure, when somebody said Javon and my brother went somewhere, she wanted a good report on that. What I mean? And those are things in life of, hey, when, somebody came up and said, hey, Javon's doing this, doing that, when you got talk to, or you got a whooping when you were younger, things like that really, really paid price off, man. And just, her teaching us the way of, of being respectful to a person, going a long way, creating connections, creating relationships. I think that really just instilled into me. And like I said, my mentors in high school, one of my offensive line coaches who would come up to me with Ole Miss a couple of times when we had visits and stuff, just those things that people instilled in me, man, just came a long way. So when I got to Ole Miss and learned the importance of that, I think that I took heed to that, took advantage of it, but also I enjoyed it. I enjoyed meeting people, going out, just making connections, getting to know people. Because I was very interested, growing up, just interested in learning about stuff. I think, one time I was growing up and someone was like, man, Javon asks a lot of questions. And I think it was just one of those things that, I just wanted to know. I just wanted to see what was going on, know about this, understand why they was doing this. And I think that's kind of stuck with me from there.
Well, we're the ones asking a lot of questions here now, Javon, and we appreciate your time. Well, again, Brandon, one of my favorites to come through, obviously a great representative for the state of Mississippi, and he's going to be getting a call here pretty soon, I think, as he gets back into the NFL, because he's got a lot to offer as one of the best free agent guards out there. Javon, really, really appreciate your time today, man, and best of luck with everything.
Man, appreciate it, Self. Y'all take it easy, man.
Yeah. Thanks, brother.